Hey, good evening. Tonight, the urgent manhunt that has captured the nation's attention for days now, coming to a stunning and dramatic end. Authorities late last night getting a tip about that escaped Alabama prisoner and the officer who helped him get away. Then today, a dramatic pursuit of an F-150. In that vehicle, fugitive prisoner Casey White, who has now been taken into custody. White had been awaiting trial for murder when he broke out of jail. Corrections officer Vicky White in that car as well, now rushed to the hospital. It is unclear how serious her injuries are. The sheriff who knew White well saying, "I hope she survives this and she has some answers to give us." For more on this late-breaking headline, let's get right to Gabe Gutierrez. He joins Top Story now. Gabe, what do you know?
Tom, we're just getting some of these breaking details. And just a short time ago, authorities in Alabama said they captured the pair in southern Indiana after a pursuit ended in a crash. Now, newly released security camera footage from a business in Evansville, Indiana, showed a man investigators believe may have been Casey White, the inmate who was on the run. 10 days ago, police say Vicky White had said she was transporting that inmate, Casey White, no relation, from the jail to the courthouse for a mental health evaluation. Officials later confirming the two had been in a relationship as far back as 2020. Investigators say they were following leads on the vehicle, and that led them to Indiana.
Ended a very long and stressful and challenging week and a half. It ended the way that we knew it would. They are in custody. What I'm very thankful for tonight is that no one was hurt, no citizens were hurt, no law enforcement officers were hurt.
All right, Sheriff Rick Singleton there. He says no one was hurt, but we do know that Vicky White was hurt. What do we know about her injuries?
Yeah, at this point, the U.S. Marshals say, Tom, that she has a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and she was taken to the hospital. Now, Casey White, the inmate, he is also in custody, and authorities say that they plan to extradite them back to Alabama.
Okay, what's interesting here is that they didn't get very far, right? Over 10 days, they made it only to Evansville, Indiana. We know they ditched one of the cars near Nashville, Tennessee. And one of the things we learned from Sheriff Rick Singleton is that they believe these two were romantically involved.
Yeah, that's right. They were looking into that. They were looking to see how far exactly that relationship took them. And something else we learned today, Tom, is that there are new charges that have been filed against Vicky White regarding forgery and identity theft. Investigators were looking into how she bought the vehicle that she, used in this escape, and so they were looking into that. And of course, then the tip came. They found them late this afternoon. We're just getting those details again. That again, Vicky White in custody at the hospital from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and Casey White also in custody. This manhunt gripped the nation. Tom.
Yeah, and as the sheriff said, she has a lot to answer for. All right, Gabe, thank you for that breaking news. We appreciate it. In Ukraine, dozens are still trapped beneath the rubble following a Russian strike on a school this weekend. Relentless attacks making it too dangerous to search for bodies. Kelly Kobiea has more on the deadly toll the war has taken.
Tonight, dozens are still buried under a mountain of rubble that used to be a school in eastern Ukraine. Russia's relentless attacks making it dangerous to search for bodies. Ukrainian officials say as many as 90 people were taking shelter in the school's basement when a Russian missile hit this weekend. A senior U.S. defense official says Russian progress is still limited, including strikes in the south in Odessa. And the last Ukrainian evacuees from Mariupol's besieged steel plant are now in the relative safety of Ukrainian territory.
They crush our city, my city, when I leave.
Elsewhere in Mariupol, ceremonies for Russia's Victory Day holiday. Pro-Russian officials laying flowers, lighting an eternal flame. But the somber wreath-laying not going according to plan in Poland, where protesters pelted the Russian ambassador with red paint, chanting fascist and murderer. Back in Ukraine, over 2 months of war taking a toll.
How were you injured?
This Ukrainian fighter, whose identity we were asked to protect, is a father and worked at a telecom company. He told me he was pulling people from bombed homes on the front line when Russian forces opened fire.
What did you see?
I saw shelling of civilian houses. They don't look at what the targets are, military or civilian, he said. They flatten everything to the ground.
That fighter told me as soon as he's well, he's going back to the front line. And like so many people I've talked to, he said he sees no quick end to this war. Tom?
Kelly Kobiea for us. Kelly, we thank you for that. Now to the economic ripple effects of war. Inflation woes for U.S. families worsening tonight as gas prices surged close to all-time highs. Those prices fueled by a perfect storm of factors, including increased consumer demand and instability caused by Russia's war in Ukraine. NBC News reporter Jacob Ward has more.
Tonight, gas at $4.33 a gallon nationally, poised to break the all-time record set just 2 months ago. Every state is feeling it. Drivers in Michigan, Ohio, and New Jersey saw gas prices jump by more than 20 cents in a single week.
I'm looking to trade this truck in and get another vehicle that's better on gas.
I just got to do what I got to do, you know?
I just close my eyes. I pretend that I'm not spending any money.
Filling an SUV this week will cost a Bay Area driver more than $100. The effects are global. Diesel fuel hitting an all-time high Monday, according to AAA. Manufacturing, energy, and transportation are all made more expensive by high oil costs. Jet fuel is 4 times more expensive than a year ago, meaning flyers are feeling the pinch too, with demand recovering after 2 years of COVID. In the U.S., round-trip ticket prices for air travel are up 41% year over year. And 9 airlines in Nigeria threatened this week to cut off service in Africa's most populous country unless the government subsidized their fuel costs. Russia is one of the world's top energy exporters, and Western sanctions are now cutting off a major source of crude oil. Crude prices have fallen recently, but still sit above $100 a barrel, and oil companies are reporting enormous profits. Shell cited the war in Ukraine as a factor contributing to its best quarter ever.
The performance that we are seeing this quarter, of course, has been helped by the macro, and the macro has been impacted by the war in the Ukraine.
Now, with Memorial Day and summer vacation approaching, the question is whether American drivers may change their plans to save on gas.
Coming out of COVID, I think consumers have a little bit more appetite to hit the road. That is, $4 may slow them down, but I think it's the $5 mark where there's a real sticking point.
Now, Tom, this is not just a matter of inconvenience. For some Americans, it's much bigger than that. Here in the Bay Area, we've spoken to food banks that say that people coming in for their weekly delivery of free food are in some cases choosing to walk rather than drive in order to save that little extra bit of money. Tom?
You have to with $6 a gallon right there behind you. All right, Jacob, thank you for that. For more of those record-breaking gas prices, let's bring in Halima Croft. She's Managing Director and Global Head of Commodity Strategies at RBC Capital Markets. Thank you so much for joining Top Story tonight. So you hear that horrific story right there. People being forced to walk to food banks because they can't even afford gas anymore. Walk our viewers through what you see happening over the next few months as the war in Ukraine shows no slowdown and Americans are about to hit this busy summer driving season.
What I would say is that oil prices were actually already high pre-invasion. You mentioned a perfect storm. We had a situation where, because of COVID restrictions being lifted, people were getting on roads again, they were getting on planes again. You had this economic reopening, and we were having problems getting sufficient oil supply to meet demand. A lot of investment came out of the energy sector in 2020, and so there was a real question before the invasion about higher prices and what could be done. Now you have this war involving one of the world's largest commodity producers, not just oil and gas, but wheat producer as well, metals producer. And there are real questions about, will we see major restrictions in Russian supply because of sanctions? And I would say that the sanctions so far have done some damage to Russia's ability to place their oil on the market, but we could be looking at much more serious sanctions in the coming months. So when you want to talk about where prices could go, they could go significantly higher if we see major importers of Russian oil, European countries like India, Turkey, China, having to restrict their imports of Russian oil as well. Those type of sanctions could send prices much higher.
Major customers right there. What is happening with diesel right now, and why should Americans be so concerned about this as we are already paying the price for the supply chain friction?
I mean, let's think about diesel. When diesel prices rise, that particularly hits an industry like the trucking industry. And think about it. All the goods that Americans consume, how are they transported? Many are transported by truck. And the issue of diesel is a little bit of a separate issue. It goes to the issue of investment. We have not had major refineries coming online since 2019. And if you think about that, you also have a situation of really, really substantial refineries, not since 1977. And so we have a situation right now where we have very, very low stockpiles things like diesel, jet fuel, and we don't have the capacity because of our refinery bottlenecks to easily produce more. So refinery issues are a separate issue, but it's certainly hurting U.S. consumers. And there's no quick relief around the corner either for this issue of diesel and jet fuel as well.
I want to put up a statement and get your reaction. This is energy analyst John Kemp writing for Reuters. He wrote this week, quote, "At present, refiners in the U.S. and the rest of the world do not have enough capacity to satisfy the high level of demand." Speaking of diesel fuel right there, is there a real chance we're headed into a diesel crisis, essentially a point where the U.S. will not have enough to go around?
I mean, some would say we're already in a diesel crisis. Again, if you look at the inventories that we have, what is on hand for diesel, for jet fuel, some would say we are already at crisis levels. So this is a major economic concern as we head into summer. And the remedy to be able to address that is not readily apparent for the government.
But Halima, do you see a reality where we could theoretically run out of diesel fuel?
I certainly think we could be in a situation where prices rise so significantly that we're going to have to see potentially cutbacks in consumption, more economic pain. I mean, that is going to be the sort of path forward. At some point, prices rise so high, they impact demand and actual consumption. So I think that is certainly where we are headed this summer. And again, the question is, what can the government do to bring down these prices? There are not a lot of great options because you cannot quickly construct more refineries.
Right. Halima Croft for us. Halima, we appreciate your expertise on this subject. All right, we want to turn now to wildfire season. It's off to an extremely dangerous start as millions of people are under threat from dozens of wildfires burning across the Southwest. Today, our Steve Patterson has the latest.
Tonight, firefighters in New Mexico in a desperate battle against the largest wildfire in the country. Extreme heat and high winds helped fuel 2 fires, merging into a massive one. It's burned nearly 300 structures, forcing many to evacuate their homes.
It's our heritage. Our parents, grandparents, they're from there. It's been hard.
Now, it's feared more will have to flee as the fire jumped a major highway on Sunday.
100 hours of wind and extreme temperatures is extremely concerning, and I need as many people out of those evacuated areas as possible, safely.
Residents near the Los Alamos nuclear lab facility also warned they may have to leave their homes, with the fire just 3 miles from the lab and the threat growing. Others forced to watch helplessly as columns of smoke and fire spreads rapidly toward their homes.
It's kind of scary. It's blowing right towards all of our properties up here.
They're using specialized water tankers known as super scoopers to douse wide swaths of the forest. Every single super scooper in North America is currently in northern New Mexico to fight these fires, but sustained high winds have grounded some aircraft, making the mission more complicated. At least 14 major wildfires burning in New Mexico and Arizona, and this is just the beginning of fire season.
What we heard is it might even take months before they can get it out.
Months. You heard it right there. Steve Patterson joins us now live from Los Angeles. Steve, this is sort of a strange stat, but I understand that the fire in New Mexico is now twice the size of the city of Philadelphia, and it looks like, or it sounds like at least, firefighters are no closer to containing it?
Yeah, Tom, firefighters are making some progress. That fire, for instance, now close to 50% contained, allowing some people to even return home. But the winds continue to make things so much worse, and full containment isn't expected until July. Tom?
All right, Steve Patterson on the latest on those wildfires. Steve, thank you. Next tonight, the U.S. bracing for yet another COVID wave. Cases rising in all but 2 states and Washington, D.C. New daily infections skyrocketing, up more than 40% in the last month as Omicron subvariants spread quickly. Local officials sounding the alarm and the White House urging Congress to take some action. Gabe Gutierrez reports again for us tonight.
Tonight, a 5th COVID wave may be starting to grip most of the country. All but 2 states and Washington, D.C. are seeing a rise in infections. Cases up 50% just in the last 2 weeks. Hospitalizations also up, though COVID-related deaths are down 12%.
The reassuring sign is that the increase in hospitalizations is nowhere near the same proportion we would have expected from a prior wave of Omicron.
As China intensifies its COVID lockdown in Shanghai, the world's now looking to South Africa to see how this latest wave will play out. That country's positivity rate is a staggering 30%, prompting concerns that Omicron subvariants are spreading faster than the original strain. Still, there are very few deaths. Here in the U.S., the CDC is raising several counties to high alert status in states including Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New York, where Governor Kathy Hochul tested positive over the weekend. In New Jersey, local officials are urging people to get their booster shots.
We may have to do this for a long time.
The White House is warning the U.S. could see 100 million new COVID cases this fall and winter as the Biden administration redoubles its efforts to convince Congress to pass a $22.5 billion COVID relief package.
We have a more contagious variant, and because mask policies have been lifted, we're seeing people who haven't been infected become infected now.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez pulling double duty for us. We thank Gabe for that report. For more on the rising case numbers and what they mean, I want to bring in Dr. Amisha Dalsha, an infectious disease expert at Johns Hopkins. Dr. Dalsha, thanks for joining Top Story tonight. We heard there in Gabe's piece we're starting down a fifth wave. What do people need to know about this one?
The fifth wave is going to be different than prior waves because what this virus is facing is a population that has a lot of immunity and a population that has access to antivirals and monoclonal antibodies. So that doesn't mean that we're not going to get cases. It just means that those cases are not going to result in hospitals getting overwhelmed again. So we're in a different type of a problem. And I think this is where we expect it to end up with a virus that can't be eradicated or eliminated. But people are going to have to make individual decisions about their own risk tolerance because COVID will have these ups and downs.
So that leads to the next question here, Dr. Dalsha. If you were running the CDC at this moment in time right now, the current recommendation is that people who test positive for COVID but don't have symptoms or have mild ones should isolate for 5 days. Some companies say that should even be 10 days. That's their policies. Do you think that guidance now needs to change? And I just ask this because do people need to be isolating for that long? You just wonder how many years we're going to be at this process of isolating for so long, and essentially it's sometimes paralyzing companies.
No, I think the CDC guidance is sound. I think when you look at case contact investigations, we don't see people transmitting after day 6 very, very frequently. So I think that the CDC made the right decision when they shortened isolation periods from 10 to 5 days. And I think we could even probably get them more right-sized by using antigen tests strategically. But what we want to do is start to manage this the way we manage other respiratory viruses like influenza. If we don't see hospitals overwhelmed, I think there's a lot of flexibility with what public health policies we put into place.
You know, the Omicron wave back in December and January was the biggest one we've seen yet. A huge number of people got infected. What do we know about people who were infected around that time with Omicron in terms of their immunity from this new subvariant?
It looks like they have at least a several-month protection against getting reinfected. There have been some reinfections with BA2 after BA1, but it's not very common in the immediate period. Over time, though, just like with any other coronavirus, reinfections are going to be something that occurs. So that natural infection does protect you for several months, but it's not as robust as we'd like it to be, but that's the virus and that's how it mutates. Throughout
this pandemic, Doctor, you know, there's been a lot of misinformation, there's been rumors, there's been sort of things people believe that may not be true. I heard something today and it got me thinking. I wanted to ask you about this. Have there been cases since we started this pandemic, or do we know of cases of people who have been infected 3 times with COVID so far?
There have been some. And I think if you look at the viral family that this coronavirus comes from, that's very normal that the virus is going to continue to evolve to be able to reinfect us. Remember, this viral family causes about 30% of our common colds, and we've all had other coronaviruses multiple times. So I do think that having coronavirus 3 times might not be that common, but it will become more common as this virus settles in to become one of the seasonal coronaviruses.
Dr. Dalsha tonight for us here on Top Story. Doctor, we always appreciate your time. Across the country tonight, growing protests aimed at shaping the future of abortion rights in America after that leaked Supreme Court draft decision that would overturn Roe v. Wade. Lane Alexander has that story.
With the landmark Roe v. Wade decision hanging in the balance, the protests are becoming increasingly personal. In Madison, Wisconsin, a pair of Molotov cocktails shattered the windows at the Wisconsin Family Action Office, an anti-abortion group.
Unfortunately, we're investigating the fruits of hate and violence in the form of an arson.
In Washington, as protesters fill the streets around the Supreme Court, others took their anger straight to the justices themselves, staging sit-ins outside the homes of Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh. All signs of a deepening divide, 1 week after a leaked draft opinion threw the future of Roe v. Wade into question. On Capitol Hill, Democrats will vote this week to advance a bill protecting abortion rights. That legislation almost sure to fail, but forcing senators to go on the record.
Choice should not be up to a handful of right-wing judges.
Today, the Senate's top Republican slammed those efforts.
It just gives Americans yet another reminder that the radicals are running the show.
Now, the focus is increasingly shifting from the nation's capital to state capitals. Already this year, 8 states have enacted measures protecting abortion rights, while changes that would bolster abortion restrictions have passed in at least 10 states.
We are ready for this change.
Martha Zoller runs the Georgia Life Alliance.
Do you expect that there is more legislation to come?
I think that certainly may happen. I know for our group, we are going to be reintroducing the bill that would limit the ability to send the abortion, the chemical abortion cocktail through the mail.
All of it setting the stage for a potential patchwork of policies across the country. Blaine Alexander, NBC News.
We thank Blaine for that. We want to turn now to the latest rescue efforts from Cuba. You may remember we led with this story on Friday night. The death toll still rising after an explosion at a popular hotel in Havana. At least 40 dead, children and pregnant women among the casualties. Officials say a gas leak triggered that explosion. Tonight, with people still unaccounted for, search and rescue teams are still going through all the debris. NBC's Ed Augustin is in Havana with the latest.
Tonight, the search continues for survivors and victims at the site of the explosion that rocked the capital of Cuba. Over the weekend, search and rescue digging through the rubble of what's left of the Saratoga Hotel.
Rescue efforts continue at pace, but with more dead having been pulled from the rubble this morning, hopes for finding survivors are diminishing.
Today, Havana's fire chief said they recovered the bodies of 4 hotel workers. At least 40 people dead. Among them, children and a pregnant woman. Another 90 were injured, 18 people still in hospital.
Mi hija trabaja en el Saratoga. Está ahí desde ayer a las 8 de la mañana. Estas son las alturas de que no sé nada de ella. No está en la monga, no está en el hospital y estoy cansada de las mentiras por el televisor.
The explosion happened Friday, shortly before 11 a.m. The clouds of smoke covering the capital's colonial quarter, glass shattering blocks away, and the facade of the building falling and crushing the cars nearby. The blast also damaging 23 nearby buildings, one of them adjoining the hotel, which had 15 apartments completely destroyed. Crowds on Friday rushing to the scene, many thinking it was a bomb. Cuban officials quickly clarifying it was an accident, saying the blast was triggered by a gas leak.
Se lamenta un accidente lamentable, muy lamentable, y parece que está alrededor de la bala de.
The historic hotel had undergone renovations and was due to reopen on Tuesday. Now destroyed. Officials say the search continues, adding that at least 12 people are still missing. There's always hope, because there might be people who are trapped and are still alive. Tonight, the nearby streets have been cleared of debris. All that's left is the shell of the building and the hope that there will be more survivors.
Rescue workers have now explored between 30 and 40% of the basement below the Hotel Saratoga, and they do suspect that there are still people trapped under the rubble. The problem is they don't know if those people are alive or not. There are multiple people waiting outside the hotel, desperately for family members and loved ones who are still unaccounted for. But we're on to day 3 now, and if there are still people trapped underneath the rubble, they'll have gone over 72 hours without food and without water.
We hope if anybody is alive, they find him. All right, Ed Augustin for us. Still ahead tonight, the growing controversy surrounding the Black Lives Matter organization. One of the group's leaders accused of misusing donated funds. The $6 million home she allegedly bought for BLM events, the personal parties she's now admitting to hosting there. Plus, wedding crasher Crook, the former cop, sneaking his way into at least 11 receptions, walking away with thousands of dollars meant for newlyweds, the charges he's now facing. And Bald Eagle rescued, the remarkable video of our national bird, nursed back to health. Top story. Just getting started on this Monday. Top stories back now with new developments in an ongoing Black Lives Matter controversy surrounding the foundation's finances. Priscilla Thompson reports on why one of the group's former leaders is defending a pricey purchase.
News of a $6 million home purchase in the name of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation is fueling questions about the group's use of donated funds. Now, a former leader at the center of the controversy speaking out as criticism and calls for more transparency grow.
The idea that Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation received millions of dollars and then I hid those dollars in my bank account is absolutely false.
Former executive director of the foundation, Patrice Cullors, defending the home purchase in a wide-ranging interview with the Associated Press.
We found this really amazing space that has office spaces, that has parking, that has, yes, a home on the property, but also has a sound stage where you could do podcasts and you could do live events in the backyard.
On Instagram, Cullors said the property purchase wasn't announced because it needed repairs and renovations, and that the house was intended as a safe space for Black people in the community. At that time, she denied ever living in the property or using it for personal gain. But now, Cullors is telling the AP she did use the home at least twice for personal use, including for an inauguration celebration and a birthday party for her son. Decisions that Cullors says she regrets, telling the AP, "I look back at that and think that probably wasn't the best idea." NBC News reached out to Cullors and the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, but has not heard back. She left the organization in May of last year. The interview comes little over a month after New York Magazine detailed how the foundation secretly paid cash for a lavish $6 million Los Angeles house with 6 bedrooms and bathrooms, plus a pool.
The nature of the purchase of the home had not been disclosed widely, and the people who knew of it were not letting it be known more widely, even within the organization and the movement more broadly.
The article prompting a flood of support and criticism from some allies of BLM, along with a demand for answers about how the $90 million donated to the Black Lives Matter Foundation in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd were being spent.
The people who I speak with in the activist communities, a lot of them were upset to learn of the home's purchase. They felt like it was a slap in the face, because again, they've been out here suffering.
The criticism, Cullors says, is par for the course.
We're eradicating white supremacy and we're getting millions of dollars to do it. And of course we're going to get attacked. That's what happens.
People should be doing their homework on where they're donating their money, not just following a name.
All right, Priscilla joins us now live in studio. You know, after what happened to George Floyd, so many people donated to Black Lives Matter. You said in your report they've raised more than $90 million. What can people who donated think or do tonight to make sure that their donations aren't wasted in some way?
Yeah, so what the group is saying is that the AP spoke with a board member who says, look, they've gotten caught up on their financial disclosure forms. They've gone through an independent financial audit. They're going to be releasing their latest financial disclosures later this month, and people will see that there is nothing nefarious going on. And so right now we're seeing leaders trying to sort of calm folks. But I will say there is this watchdog group, Charity Watch, that is keeping an eye on this organization, and they're still giving them a question mark rating, saying that they have questions about these financial disclosures. So I think it's important for folks to check some of those watchdog groups and see what's happening, and we'll wait to see what these disclosure forms reveal.
But again, BLM's saying they're going to be more transparent, so we're going to have to wait and see. Okay, Priscilla, we thank you for that. Moving on now to Arizona, where a former sheriff's deputy has been arrested. This is a really strange story. He's facing multiple charges. He's accused of crashing at least 11 weddings and making off with gifts meant for the happy couples. Police there asking newlyweds who believe they too may have been theft victims to now come forward. Isa Gutierrez has the details on this one.
Tonight, wedding crasher caught on camera and making off with the presents. Police in Arizona arresting this man, a former sheriff's deputy, for crashing multiple weddings and stealing thousands of dollars in gifts for the bride and groom. Watch as 54-year-old Landon Rankin, in surveillance video released by the Chandler Police Department, walks out of one wedding last month, allegedly dressed as a guest with a wedding card box in hand.
We had such a good day. My family was there. We were all emotional. And then at the end of the day at 10 p.m., that's when I found out that all the cards were missing.
Casey Lawhead was married in Mesa, Arizona in March, about a month before these videos were taken.
And I was like, oh my gosh, we got so many cards. I'm so excited.
The newlywed tells Top Story her loved ones generously gifted her and her husband $5,000 to $6,000, which they'd planned to use to help build their first house.
Later in the night, I had noticed they were gone. And I just assumed that someone in my family had picked them up and put them away.
After calling her family and learning none of them had taken the box, she filed a police report. Lawhead says surveillance video she obtained from her venue parking lot appears to show Rankin, and she has a theory of how things played out.
He came in during ceremony time. He waited around during cocktail hour. Then once everybody was seated for dinner and went inside, that's when he stole all the cards.
Police told us they're investigating the Lawhead's case, but a suspect has not been identified at this time. The Chandler Police Department says investigators are linking 11 wedding thefts in the area to Rankin.
If you believe that you are a victim of Rankin going into your reception or wedding and stealing this wedding box, please give the Chandler Police Department a call.
Rankin facing several charges, including 2 counts of third-degree burglary. Investigators found a couple of checks that had been stolen from one of the wedding venues in Rankin's possession, according to court records. Police confirmed Rankin is a former county deputy at the Pinal County Sheriff's Department. Court records show the former deputy has a criminal history that includes drug possession and criminal trespassing charges he's pled guilty to. Our efforts to contact Rankin and his attorney were unsuccessful. In an interview with police, Rankin said he attended the weddings to hear the wedding vows because he was going through a divorce, according to a probable cause statement from police. Lawhead says she did not know Rankin and he wasn't invited to the wedding.
He was a member of the community. Like, he had served in the law enforcement. So I was like, that kind of just makes you feel like you were violated in some way.
She and her husband plan to press charges against Rankin. Whether or not they get any money back, Lawhead says the experience won't spoil their wedding memories.
He may get the money, but he did not get to ruin my day.
Okay, good to hear there. Isa Gutierrez joins us now live on set. So, Isa, what are some tips for brides and grooms? Because you want to have a good time at your wedding. You don't want to worry about your packages running off.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, police in the area have said that it might be a good idea to have someone monitoring the gift table. But then, Tom, there is, of course, electronic gifting and transfers as well. I've been to weddings where, it says the information where you can Venmo, that sort of thing. So if you don't want to take the risk at all, that's something that might be a better option.
Okay, you're about to get married. You're going to have somebody watching those gifts?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, that's good to know. Isa, thank you for that. When we come back, disturbing surveillance video showing the moments a man allegedly tried kidnapping a woman, but a good Samaritan stepped in to bring the victim to safety. Stay with us. All right, we are back now with Top Stories newsfeed, and we begin tonight in New York City, where police are on the hunt for a suspect in a deadly Mother's Day hit-and-run accident. Officials say a person driving a stolen landscaping truck in Queens smashed into a parked vehicle Sunday morning, sending it toward 3 people. One woman ending up pinned between 2 cars. She was taken to a hospital but later died. Police found the truck abandoned about a mile from the scene. Next is some disturbing surveillance video showing what police in Massachusetts are calling an attempted kidnapping. It shows a man following a woman down a road in Burlington around 8:30 Sunday night, then grabbing her and dragging her away. Another woman driving home from work saw the whole thing, pulled over, and called 911. Officials saying they think that driver scared the suspect away. Celebrity chef Mario Batali appearing in a court in Boston, opting to have a judge decide his fate instead of a jury in a sexual misconduct case. A Massachusetts woman accusing Batali of kissing and groping her at a restaurant. Batali's lawyer arguing that never happened. Batali pleaded not guilty to indecent assault and battery in 2019. If convicted, he could face up to 2.5 years in prison and be required to register as a sex offender. And some wild video we want to show you of a bald eagle rescue in western Kentucky. You can see this licensed wildlife rehabilitator grabbing the massive bird in a backyard in McLean County. She told Storyful it could not fly. She reportedly took the bird home, giving it fluids. If you're wondering why this bald eagle looks so tame and staring right there at the camera, the woman who saved it telling a local radio station she would rather handle 15 bald eagles than 1 Canadian goose. The animal went to a rehab center to keep recovering. All right, from those bald eagles to politics, power politics, that is, and the battle for the midterms, all eyes on the primary race in Pennsylvania. Next week, as the stage is set for the next major test of President Trump's endorsement power. Dasha Burns has more there tonight.
In the final countdown to the critical Pennsylvania primary, the former president stumping in a rainy, muddy fairgrounds.
You're going to send Dr. Oz to fight for you in the U.S. Senate?
But celebrity Dr. Mehmet Oz may test the limits of the magic.
I'm tough as nails, and I will never let you down. God bless you, Pennsylvania.
Oz, who went to medical school in Pennsylvania decades ago, but has lived and been registered to vote in New Jersey until last year, has faced criticism of his conservative bona fides.
The main thing I hear is I know who Dr. Oz is, but he's not from here, and I don't know what he stands for. So what do you say to those voters?
I want Republican primary voters to be skeptical. Kick the tires, ask me hard questions, check out my campaign.
But loyal Trump fans,
we're Trump gals, we call ourselves,
like Melanie Patterson and Celeste Palmera, say they just don't get Trump's support for Oz.
I have not had one person tell me something favorable about
We have not had it, and find that amazing.
You haven't met anybody?
No.
That supports Oz?
They've spent 3 weeks door knocking on behalf of underdog candidate Carla Sands across deep red Westmoreland County.
She's running against Oz. Are you familiar with all that?
What did you think of his endorsement of Oz?
I'm kind of surprised.
Unlike J.D. Vance in Ohio, the latest polls show Oz up just 2 points after Trump's endorsement, still virtually tied with David McCormick, a former hedge fund executive from Western PA. And in another twist, many of Mr. Trump's former aides are throwing their support behind McCormick. Nearly 40% of Republican voters here say they haven't made up their mind.
His endorsement didn't necessarily seal the deal for you.
No, I just need to learn more.
Pennsylvania, now the biggest Trump test yet. Dasha Burns, NBC News, Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
All right, Dasha Burns on the campaign trail. We thank her. Time now for Top Stories Global Watch. And Sri Lanka's prime minister resigning today after weeks of protest. The country dealing with its worst economic crisis in decades. His resignation coming after pro-government supporters stormed an anti-government camp in Colombo. Police using water cannons and tear gas to break up the fighting. The island nation, the Indian Ocean, is on the brink of bankruptcy. Bolivian authorities announcing they've discovered 2 large cocaine labs inside a national park. Officials setting fire to the labs in Noel Kempf Mercado National Park and saying they were both worth about $500,000. The discovery coming after a helicopter used by drug smugglers crashed nearby last week. Local media says it had more than 1,000 pounds of cocaine on board. And Buckingham Palace says Queen Elizabeth will not be attending the opening of Parliament tomorrow, the first time she's missing it in nearly 60 years. The palace saying it's because of mobility issues. Prince Charles going in her place. Queen Elizabeth has only missed it 2 other times during her reign because of pregnancies. Still ahead, vacation mystery. Police identifying the 3 Americans who died at a luxury resort in the Bahamas. But what caused their deaths is still unclear. Carrie Sanders tonight reporting from the Bahamas. Coming up. We're back now with a mystery in the Bahamas. Why did 3 Americans die at a luxury resort while another was hospitalized? Carrie Sanders is there with the clues authorities are trying to piece together.
Today, Bahamian authorities identified the 3 Americans who died while on vacation in the Bahamas at Sandals Emerald Bay. It's still not clear why 68-year-old Michael Phillips and his 65-year-old wife, Robbie, from Tennessee, died, or why 64-year-old Vince Chiarella from Florida also passed away. His wife, 65-year-old Donis, survived, but had been temporarily paralyzed, according to witnesses. Tonight, she's in a Florida hospital, listed in fair condition.
The night prior, all of them had reported feeling ill, and they, as was reported already, were seen by the medics.
Police say the focus of the investigation is now on the beachside villa where the couple stayed. Sandals lists each side of those accommodations at more than $7,000 a night. Detectives are examining the hot water heater and air conditioner for leaks.
Have you set equipment inside to monitor whether there is any sort of poison or contamination entering through that system?
They are there. I couldn't say exactly what all they're doing at this time.
The day before this tragedy, both couples had complained of dizziness and nausea.
All right, Carrie joins us now from that resort there in the Bahamas. Carrie, I know you know this well. Tourism is a lifeline for the Bahamas. So what are the next steps in determining what happened here?
Yeah, tourism is the #1 part of the economy here in the chain of islands, and that's why the Prime Minister is even involved in this investigation. The Bahamian police have now said that they are going to do toxicology tests and autopsies, which began today, and they're working with some experts in Philadelphia, and they believe that that information might ultimately answer the question of the cause of death, and then they can trace back from there where that cause came from. Tom?
Carrie Sanders for us tonight. Carrie, thank you. Coming up, the new Trailblazers breaking barriers in baseball. The women that are suiting up and coaching hard. You're about to meet one woman who is helping change the face of our national pastime. Stay with us. Finally tonight, an extra special Mother's Day for one baseball-loving family, celebrating a daughter who is breaking baseball barriers and hoping to inspire the next generation of women on the field. This Mother's Day, Chicago resident Joan Krall has a lot to be proud of.
I couldn't even believe that I was seeing the last name Krall, K-R-A-L-L, on my 5'4" daughter who has gorgeous long fingernails. I'm thrilled for her.
Joan spent Mother's Day at the ballpark with her twin daughters, Katie and Annie. She's one of the first mothers who can cheer on her daughter in a professional baseball uniform. Joan and her daughter Katie throwing out the first pitch at a minor league game in Portland, Maine this weekend.
Now we give it up for Joan!
The reality of being able to throw out a first pitch is a miracle that my daughter's on the field.
This season, the Boston Red Sox hired Katie as a development coach for their Double-A affiliate, the Portland Sea Dogs. It's the first time she's worn a baseball uniform since Little League. Working in this sport at a professional level is a lifelong dream.
This is absolutely an incredible opportunity, but it's one that I never anticipated because when I was growing up, you didn't see any female coaches.
And as recently as 2018, the year Katie graduated from Northwestern, there were no women in coaching roles in both the major and minor leagues.
I think if you had told me at Northwestern, I would have said there's a better chance of me being a mascot than there is of me being a coach some days.
But that's changed in the last few years. Katie is one of 11 women coaching major and minor league baseball this season, joining women like Alyssa Nacken, who coached first base for the Giants last month, and Rachel Balkovic, who was recently promoted by the Yankees from hitting coach to manager of the minor league Tampa Tarpons.
Comes from the top down, both at teams and the league office, of recognizing the value that women bring and saying, you know, we want the best.
Katie hopes her story inspires the next generation.
I hope that now little girls are seeing that actually, if you want to be in uniform, if you want to be in pants on the field, there's a place for you.
A mission that makes her mother extra proud this Mother's Day.
Katie has, the world is her oyster, and being in Maine, that's an appropriate analogy.
I want them to believe that whatever they set their mind to, it's possible, and that if they're tenacious and they believe in themselves, they can accomplish extraordinary things.
We thank Coach Krall for sharing her story, and we thank you for watching Top Story tonight. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.